All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining us this evening. Welcome to Medicaid Last Call. This is our 2021 update. I am Alyssa with the Monteleone Law Group. I'm an attorney here and I handle exclusively elder law and estate planning matters. And we are kicking off our fall 2021 webinar series. The first presentation tonight is about Medicaid and the upcoming changes to the community Medicaid program. So this is our last call. We have about a little over 2 months to get any applications in under the old rules before everything is kind of turned upside down on its head, and our normal strategies that we would use are kind of no more or changed. So I am happy that everyone joined us this evening, and I'm going to go ahead and kick us off with some housekeeping pieces. So this webinar is being recorded. We are going to post it on our website, so you'll be able to access the recording within the next 24 hours. We can also send out the slides by email so everyone can have a copy of it. And so you can follow along on your own if you listen to it again. And I have muted all the participants so that way we can hold our questions till the end. And you can feel free to put your question in the chat box or raise your hand to ask a question at the end of the presentation. Just a quick disclaimer to let everybody know that this webinar is for informational purposes only. It's not to be relied on as legal advice. Everyone's situation is different, so don't just run out there and start doing your own DIY Medicaid estate planning. You can cause some serious dilemmas that may not be able to be undone. So you always want to consult with an attorney. So tonight's topics, we're going to be talking about 3 areas. First, we're going to just do a quick Medicaid recap. What is this program? What are the eligibility requirements? And then we'll jump in and talk about the new changes that are coming, that were passed and will go into effect come January 2022. And then we'll talk about some basic estate planning that we do for clients all the time to help make them eligible for long-term care benefits under Medicaid. So Medicaid recap. There are 2 Medicaid programs that you can apply for long-term care benefits. The first is the community program, and that's where people stay at home and receive the care there. And then there's nursing home Medicaid, and that's where you're actually in a nursing home facility. We call that institutionalized Medicaid. You may hear it referred to, but those are the 2 different settings that someone can get long-term care benefits in. And there's a few ways that you can pay for your long-term care. Some people may have long-term care insurance. This is a product that is gaining popularity again. They used to be very popular products, but they are also very expensive policies to have. Many insurance companies are bringing them back to the market, but they are rolled in together with life insurance policies to make the benefit more accessible and affordable. So there's been an uptick in the clients that we've seen come in that have long-term care insurance. You can also private pay for your long-term care. That can get very expensive very quick. You see people run through their liquid assets very quickly paying for care in their own pocket. But also you can have Medicaid benefits that will pay for your long-term care needs. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight, is accessing those benefits through the Medicaid Community Long-Term Care Program. So what does Community Medicaid cover? It covers adult daycare. So that is if someone is visiting another facility just for the day, it covers those services. It covers home care. That's when you have aides coming into your home to provide care. There are some Medicaid assisted living programs out there that are covered. It also covers physical therapy and occupational therapy, along with your hospital and Medicare, and then your prescription benefit it will cover. Medicare, also plays into this a little bit. It doesn't provide long-term care benefits, but it does cover, Medicare does give medical insurance for hospital and doctor visits. There are supplemental plans for prescriptions and copay coverage. but it will cover the rehab facility for up to 100 days. So that's where a lot of clients start, and they exhaust those 100 days, and then they realize that they're going to need more care, but they're not sure how they're going to pay for it. And at that time, that's when we start talking to a lot of people about applying for Medicaid. So how do I become eligible for Medicaid? There are a lot of rules, of course. So you need to, one piece that we look at is, are you financially eligible? And to determine that, we're looking at what are your resources and what are your income. That's always the financial information that Medicaid's looking at, is what are your resources or your assets and what's your monthly income. So resource limits, if you are a single individual applying for Medicaid, you can have no more than $15,900 in assets. And if you are a 2-person or more household, like a married couple, you are limited to $23,400 in assets. And what does that look like? Well, what counts towards that? So it could be real estate. Your home is exempt, but if you have a vacation property, an income property, that's going to count towards that limit. You can have cash, that is a countable asset, your bank accounts, investment accounts, not your retirement accounts, but if you have a brokerage account, that's a countable asset towards that limit. Life insurance policies are countable, not the death benefit, but the face value. And annuities, if you have these non-qualified assets, those count towards those resource limits. Income. This year, Medicaid is limiting income per month to $904, which means that you're allowed to keep the first $904 of your income, but anything over that amount is considered surplus income. And we'll talk about that more in a bit, but what are our common sources of income? Where do people who need to access long-term care benefits, where do they normally, what's their income? So we're looking at Social Security retirement benefits. Sometimes we receive money from pensions and annuities, required minimum distributions from those retirement assets like 401ks. And then also rental income, that's also a very common source of income for retired individuals. So like I said, you're allowed to keep the first $904 a month, but what happens if I make more than that? That's a very common situation. So what happens to all that extra money? So the Medicaid rules say that if you make more than $904 a month, everything over that amount needs to be contributed to the cost of your care. So that will go towards paying the aides that are coming into your home and providing you with care. Or you can shield that money by putting it into a pool trust, which is a separate account that will allow you to hold that money to the side to use it for your living expenses. Because here in New York, it's very difficult to live on $904 a month. So we need to be able to shield as much of that income and keep it to be able to use it for our own living expenses. So that's Medicaid eligibility in a nutshell. There are some other eligibility requirements concerning whether you're actually physically needy or medically needy and need the services, but those we'll cover in this section where we talk about the new changes that are coming to the financial eligibility portions and the medical assessments. So we had the rules come into effect October 1st, 2020, but the actual rules won't be effective until January 1st, 2022. That date's actually been pushed back a couple times because of COVID. It was supposed to start in January 2021. It's pushed back to July, and now it's pushed back to January 1st. I'm not sure if it's going to be pushed back again. I really don't think it will be, unfortunately. So we've been trying to get as many clients in under the old rules as possible because it's much easier to qualify for benefits. One of the big new changes is that there will be a 30-month look-back period phased in, and it will be completely phased in by April 2023. And what that means is a look-back is when you apply for Medicaid, they're going to ask you to look through all your financials, all your bank records, to see if you've done any asset transfers for the 30 months prior to that application. And if you have, then you could be penalized, and it could prevent you from becoming eligible for benefits. So what's going to happen is, come January 1st, 2022, we're going to start with a 12-month look back. And any application put in January of 2022, they're going to look back to January of 2021 and see if you've made any transfers in between those months. But then as the months go on, it's going to go up. The look back will go up by a month. So come February 2022 will be at 13 months. March will be 14 months, and we'll continue until we get to 30 months or 2.5 years. This look back is similar to what you hear about for nursing home Medicaid. Whenever you hear about the big 5-year look back, that's only for nursing home applications. So currently the rules until the end of 2021 is there's 0 look back, which is a huge deal for clients who have assets that they want to protect. And when they're in a crisis and they need to qualify for Medicaid, there's a lot of planning that we could do on the community side of it. But now with this 30-month look back period, people can't wait till they're in a crisis anymore. You have to be ahead of the curve, and you really need to pre-plan. That's really going to become the key to helping you become eligible for Medicaid benefits. So this 30-month look back will be phased in over the next 1.5 years, actually, because we're starting with 12 months on January 2022. So the other big changes is also related to medical criteria. The current rules is that you only need assistance with 2 or more activities of daily living. And activities of daily living are things that we do every day: cooking, dressing, bathing, toileting, those types of activities. Under the new rules, you're actually, in order to qualify, you're going to need help with 3 or more activities of daily living, or have a diagnosis of Alzheimer's and need help with 2 or more activities of daily living. So it's becoming harder to qualify on the medical assessments because you're going to be in a worse off condition and needing more help under the new rules than you would under the old rules. There's also changes to the prescription requirements for community Medicaid. So under the current rules, a patient's own physician can prescribe home care. The doctor, your doctor that knows you best, that knows your medical needs and the level of care that you need, can write you a prescription for home care. But under the new rules, that's changing, in which a physician that's contracted by the Department of Health will be the one prescribing the home care. Which is a little unsettling because this is a doctor that's, again, hired by the Department of Health, and they don't know you like your normal primary care doctor might have known you for years, known your medical needs. It's not going to be someone that knows the level of care that you need. So how is this look back going to work? Everyone, obviously, the look back can be extremely scary for some people. Of course, 2.5 years is a lot less time to get through than 5 years, but it still could be a challenge for clients nonetheless. So what they're looking for is they're looking for asset transfers that you've made over the look back period. So they'll look through your bank records to see what kind of transfers have you made. Have you gifted money away to your kids or your grandkids? Have you given the house away? That's the kind of information that they're looking for. So how does this work? Let's say that your mom has just sold her house. In June 2021, she took advantage of that hot real estate market. She sold her house and she decided she needs to move into an apartment. She needed 1 level living. It's just safer for her. She's not as spry as she's used to be. So after the sale, she's got $225,000 in the bank. But she's scared. She's scared that she's going to need home care soon. So she decides that she's going to transfer $212,000 to her children for safekeeping. Because in the event that she needs Medicaid, then she should be okay. She should be in the clear. So she transfers that money. And then in February of 2022, mom falls and breaks her hip and she's in rehab. But when she comes home, she's coming home soon and she's going to need care. She can't get around like she used to. She needs help toileting. She needs help dressing. She just cannot, she cannot do, and she's not as independent as she once was before her fall. So now mom gave away that $212,000. So she's only got $13,000 in her bank account and she applies for Medicaid. So that application, that snapshot date is February 2022. So what Medicaid is going to do is they're going to look back all the way back to January 2021, because by this time we'll have 13 months look back. So we'll go all the way back to January 2021 and they'll say, let's see what you did with all your assets. And when they look on her bank account, they're going to see that in June of 2021, mom gave away $212,000, which is a big no-no. And that's going to come up. And we don't really have an explanation for that. If it's just a straight transfer, there's really nothing we can do to explain that away. So she'll get penalized. So what's going to happen is they will add up all the assets that you transferred that you weren't supposed to, and they will divide that by the regional Medicaid rate. So let's say that mom is in Westchester County. The regional Medicaid rate for Westchester for 2021 is $13,206. So when we divide 212,000 by that regional rate, we come up with 16 months. That means that mom is not going to be eligible for community Medicaid until June 2023. And we're still in February 2022. So we have more than a year to go that mom has to pay her way through that time period before she can be eligible for care. And as we've seen that as time goes on, the people deteriorate, their health deteriorates, unfortunately. So the level of care that they'll need will go up. So this can become very expensive and a very big financial burden. And mom gave her money away. So that could be a very scary position to be in. So what do we do? What do we do to prevent those situations? There's some basic things that we can do. So pre-planning, like I mentioned, is going to become very important now. That we can't wait till we're in a crisis and do things at the last minute. So the sooner you plan, the better, because then you at some point don't have to worry about a 2.5-year look back, because you've transferred your assets and been proactive about it while you're still in good health. And we don't worry until we wait till a crisis to do these transfers. So what are some things that mom can do? Well, she could put her cash into a Medicaid trust or give it to family members and just wait out the period, wait out that look back period. We're pre-planning, we're getting ahead of the curve. But there's pros and cons to all of this. So there are some exempt transfers that people can do, that it doesn't necessarily matter that you gave the home away if you are giving it to your disabled child. That's a transfer that won't count against you. You can also give away your home to a caregiver child that's been living in the home with you for 2 years prior to you having to go into a nursing home facility. That's okay. So you're allowed to do those. So there are some exempt transfers out there. If you give your assets to your family members, that could be very risky, because there are other things that could happen outside your control that you didn't foresee that pop up and kind of make your plan blow up in your face. So if you think that you want to give your money to your kids and just wait out the penalty period or the look back period, you can do that, but just consider that what happens if your kid gets divorced and your money, your assets are now caught up in the middle of your child's divorce? What happens if they have to file bankruptcy, declare bankruptcy, and those assets are now caught up in their bankruptcy? Or they could misuse that money. They could say, sure, mom, I'll hold it in my bank account and I promise, I'll keep it safe for you. But life happens and they take that money and they use it for something else. Or even if they pass away before you, then that money can get caught up in probate, or it could end up going to somebody else that you didn't intend for it to go to. It won't be there for your care. Another thing that happens when you gift away assets is the person on the receiving end doesn't get that step up in basis, which comes up later on when you're looking to pay taxes, because that can cause you to have a lot of capital gains and you'd be subject to paying capital gains tax, which that tax rate is going up. So this is definitely something that should be on someone's radar before they just start giving their assets away, because sometimes you create some other unintended issues when you just go ahead and transfer assets. So another thing that we use all the time are trusts, Medicaid trusts. You can transfer your assets there. You'll still have to wait out that waiting period, but the Medicaid trust offers protection. There's a few things that it does. So there's no need for probate when you've created an estate plan with a trust and you've properly put your assets in the trust. You're circumventing probate. And as we all know, probate can become time consuming and costly and cause a lot of grief and headaches. And you also get that step up in basis when you are in distributing property or you're taking property from a trust. You get that step up in basis that will reduce your capital gains taxes. And then it also helps you if you have a Medicaid asset protection trust that is a qualifying trust under the Medicaid rules. They also help you become Medicaid eligible. You still will have to wait out that look back period, but if you are planning ahead of time and doing this the right way, your assets will be there for you and will be protected, and you will also be financially eligible for Medicaid, which is a huge benefit. So Medicaid trusts are very handy. So let's go back to mom and let's talk about what happened if mom never sold her house. And she never sold that house. She didn't end up with the cash in the bank. You know, what would happen then if she had to go and apply for Medicaid? So your primary residence is actually exempt on your Medicaid application. It's not a countable asset. The first $906,000 in home equity is excluded, right? So that anything over $906,000 would be countable on the application. But even though it's exempt on your application and you're allowed to have a home, they can still come back for it later on. So it's not exempt from Medicaid liens and Medicaid estate recovery. So this means that after you pass away, Medicaid could put a lien on your house to try to come back and collect that money that they paid out on your behalf. Or if the house ends up in probate, they can become a creditor of your estate and try to recover what they paid for that way. So it's exempt while you're alive and receiving benefits, but they will try to find a way to come back later on. That's just the gift that keeps on giving. So what's the solution to that? What do we do for clients? That's when we use a Medicaid trust to protect the home. It's really important to protect your home. In a lot of cases, that is someone's biggest asset. You've worked for years to pay your home off. And that is how people generate their wealth that they want to pass on to other family members. So a Medicaid trust is a really great planning tool to use to protect your home. What happens to mom's income? So she makes well over $904 a month. She actually makes $2,904 a month. What do we do with this extra $2,000 a month? She needs it to live on. She's got property taxes to pay. She's got the lights to keep on, groceries. She can't just pay that over towards the cost of her aides every month. That's not realistic. So what do? We're going to use a pool trust to shield that surplus income to allow mom to keep that money and use it to pay all of her other living expenses above and beyond that $900. Pool trusts are extremely useful. They can be a little overwhelming to clients. I find when there's just a lot of money to transfer every month, what's happening is Medicaid on your application, they will do a budget for you and they will tell you your amount of your surplus income that you will then transfer to your pooled trust account every month. And then you submit your bills to the pooled trust account company and they will pay those bills each month. So it's like a bill pay service almost. And they cover mostly any expense except medical expenses. But it's just another layer of a process to deal with that is sometimes cumbersome for clients. So that's definitely something that we work hand in hand with our clients to help them walk through that process, get them set up so where their every month paying their bills is like a well-oiled machine, because you're juggling maybe mom's personal accounts, but also this money that she has in a pooled trust. It can become a little confusing sometimes, but they're a great tool. That's how we help our clients keep the money at home, is by using pooled trust. Now, what if mom was actually married and dad was around? How would he be affected in all of this? So dad's assets and income that he owns may be countable also on the Medicaid application, even if it's just mom going up for applying for services, because a lot of these things may be jointly owned. Income that dad has may be imputed to mom. Cash in the bank has both their names on it, may be countable. But one thing that we are allowed to do, which is a great solution that did not get cut out in all these changes, is what's called spousal refusal. So a lot of times what I do with clients is have mom give all of her assets to dad, because that's an exempt transfer. Transfers between spouses is exempt. They have unlimited transfers between the two of them. So that's a great thing to take advantage of. And then once dad has mom's assets, he will actually sign a document that we call spousal refusal, that will allow him to basically say, I love you, my wife, but I refuse to use my assets to take care of you. And by doing that, dad will actually be able to protect his assets. So instead of having to spend them down for mom's care, he is actually able to preserve them and keep them, which you are able to shield a ton of assets doing that. So what now? What about all of these changes that are coming up? We have a very small window to get our last applications in before the rules change. So what I've been advising clients is that if you are already in need of care, or you're on the verge of needing care, then you need to strongly consider your planning options and make sure that you can get in and apply before December 31st, 2021. Having a 0-month look back is a huge deal. It makes all the world when you're looking at how much of your assets that you can protect, compared to when the look back period is in place next year. So it's important to consider your planning options and do the planning and get the application in before the end of the year, but also consider pre-planning, because that's what I think is going to be the key to helping clients become Medicaid eligible, is doing the planning sooner than later, doing it while you're well and not waiting until a crisis. So if you want to talk about pre-planning, I'd love to do that with you. Let's talk some more, and we can schedule a consult. We offer free consultations. We don't charge initially. Let's get to know one another and talk about what you want to plan, how you want to plan for your long-term care. So you can find us on the internet. You can find us on social media. We are on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. We post a lot of helpful articles, our blog articles, our monthly newsletters that you can get access to by finding us on social media. You can also email us at info@monteleonelaw.com. You can give us a call. Our elder law and estate our estate planning practice, we have offices here in New York, and we also have satellite offices in Virginia. Northern Virginia and the Alexandria area, and then down in Fredericksburg. Or you can find us on the web, monteleonlaw.com. That's where you'll find a lot of our resources online and more information about our firm and how to contact us. So we thank you for joining us this evening. If you have any questions, I'm not seeing anything in the chat. I don't see anyone's hand raised, but feel free to give us a shout online or by email or call us up, and we'll be happy to help you with your Medicaid planning. And also, if you're interested in joining us for our other webinar sessions, you can find us, go on our website or our social media, monteleonlaw.com/webinars. We have 3 more sessions coming up. Our next session is about guardianship, everything that you need to know. We have another session coming up about what happens to your stuff after you pass away and all the terrible ways that family members fight. And then our last session is Ask Alyssa. So that's where you submit your Q&A questions, and we'll answer them on the webinar. So we look forward to seeing you again. Thanks so much.